Last spring, I ripped into my garden with a rototiller the way I'd done every year for the past decade. And when I stood back and looked at that bed, something finally clicked. I was destroying the very thing I was trying to build. The soil looked fluffy on top, sure. It looked like a magazine cover. But underneath, it was dead. Compacted hardpan just a few inches below the surface. No worms. No roots threading through it. No life. And my yields, year after year, proved it. I kept doing the same thing, expecting different results. And honestly, that's a rough place to be when you're putting in that many hours. What I'm about to share with you tripled my harvest. Not over 5 years, not with expensive equipment, but in a single growing season. And the part that still gets me? I did it by doing less, a lot less. 3 years ago, my raised beds were producing what I'd call okay harvests. A few pounds of tomatoes here, some decent peppers there. Nothing to write home about, despite hours of tilling, amending, and turning soil every single season. I was spending probably $200 a year on bagged compost, another $60 or $70 on fertilizer, and I was burning entire weekends just prepping beds in the spring. My back ached. My wallet ached. And the food I was growing, it was fine. Just fine. Then I stumbled across a guy named Charles Dowding. He's a gardener over in England who's been growing food without ever turning his soil for over 40 years, and he wasn't just getting by. His beds were producing some of the most abundant, healthy harvests I'd ever seen. I thought there's no way this works in my climate, in my soil, with my setup. So I ran a test. I converted 2 of my 8 beds to his method. I left the other 6 the way I'd always done them. Tilled, amended, the whole routine. By the end of that first summer, the 2 no-till beds outproduced every single tilled bed. And it wasn't close. The difference was so obvious my neighbor walked over one afternoon, pointed at those 2 beds and said, "What are you feeding those things?" I wasn't feeding them anything special. I was just, finally, letting the soil do what soil already knows how to do. See, here's what nobody talks about when they hand you that shiny new tiller or tell you to break up your soil every spring. You're waging war on an underground civilization that's been working in your favor this entire time. I'm talking about the fungal networks, the bacterial colonies, the earthworms and microarthropods and nematodes that spend their entire lives building soil structure, creating channels for water, breaking down organic matter into plant-available nutrients, forming relationships with your plant roots that literally feed them. Every single time you run a tiller through that soil, you shred those fungal networks. You collapse those water channels. You expose soil biology to UV light that kills it. You bring dormant weed seeds to the surface where they germinate, which means more weeding for you. And you create a compaction layer right below the tilling depth called a plow pan that roots can't penetrate. Think about that for a second. The tool that's supposed to loosen your soil is actually creating a hard barrier underneath. And every year you till, that barrier gets worse. And here's the part that really got to me. The fertilizer industry loves that you till. Because when you destroy your soil biology, your plants can't access nutrients naturally anymore. So what do? You buy fertilizer, you buy amendments, you buy compost by the truckload, and you do it every single year. It's a cycle. You till. You kill the biology. The plants struggle. You add synthetic nutrients. The plants become dependent on those nutrients. And next spring, you do it all over again. I'm not saying anyone's doing this on purpose to take your money, but I am saying the companies selling you tillers and fertilizer aren't exactly rushing to tell you there's a free alternative that works better. That's just not how business works. The really frustrating part? The best gardens I've ever seen, the ones producing enormous yields year after year, they've never been tilled. Not once. The soil in those gardens is so alive, so structured, so rich. You can push your hand into it up to your wrist without effort. That's what healthy soil looks like. And a tiller will never, ever give you that. The method I switched to isn't new, and that's part of what makes it so frustrating that more people don't use it. It's called no-till or no-dig gardening, and it's been quietly producing record harvests for decades. The concept is almost absurdly simple. Instead of breaking soil apart from below, you build it up from above. You layer organic material on top of your existing soil and let biology do the incorporation for you. Worms pull material down. Fungi break it apart. Bacteria convert it into nutrients. The soil structure builds itself, better than any machine could. The materials you need are things most people already have or can get for free. Compost, homemade or sourced locally. Cardboard, plain brown, no glossy print. Mulch, wood chips, straw, or shredded leaves. That's it. No special products. No proprietary blends. No subscription to some monthly soil amendment box. The science behind this is well documented. The undisturbed soil develops what's called aggregate structure. Tiny clumps held together by fungal threads and bacterial glues that create pore space for air and water. This structure is what makes soil drain well, but also hold moisture. It's what lets roots spread easily, and it takes months or years for biology to build, but only minutes for a tiller to destroy. Charles Dowding's trials, which he's documented extensively, consistently show no-dig beds outperforming dug beds by anywhere from 30 to 300%, depending on the crop. And his beds just keep getting better every year because the biology compounds. It builds on itself. A tilled bed resets to zero every spring. A no-till bed picks up right where it left off. Let me walk you through exactly how I set up a no-till bed from scratch, because once you see how simple this is, you're going to wonder why you ever wrestled with a tiller in the first place. First, pick your spot. Full sun, at least 6 to 8 hours a day. If you're converting an existing tilled bed, that's even easier. If you're starting on grass or weeds, don't rip anything out. Just leave it. Seriously, leave it right where it is. Now, step 1. Mow or stomp down whatever's growing there. Get it as flat as you can. You don't need to remove it. You just need it low to the ground. Step 2. Lay down a single layer of plain brown cardboard, overlapping the edges by at least 4 to 6 inches. This is your weed barrier. It blocks light, suppresses everything underneath, and over the next 2 to 3 months, it breaks down completely and becomes part of the soil. Make sure you remove any tape or staples, and don't use glossy printed cardboard. Stick with plain corrugated. Step 3, and this is the most important layer. Put down 3 to 4 inches of quality compost directly on top of the cardboard. This is your planting medium. This is where your seeds or transplants go. Now, I know what you're thinking. 3 inches doesn't sound like much, but here's the thing. That's all you need. Roots will grow down through the decomposing cardboard into the soil below, and worms will start migrating up into the compost almost immediately. Within a few weeks, you won't even be able to tell where the compost ends and the native soil begins. Most people make a critical mistake here. They use cheap compost full of wood chips and bark that hasn't broken down. You want finished compost. It should be dark, crumbly, and smell like a forest floor after rain. If it smells sour or looks chunky, it's not ready. Using unfinished compost will tie up nitrogen and your plants will yellow out. I learned that one the hard way my first year. Step 4. If you have them, add a 1 to 2 inch layer of mulch on top. Wood chips, straw, or shredded leaves all work great. This layer holds moisture, suppresses any remaining weed seeds, and feeds the soil as it slowly decomposes. Don't use dyed mulch. The chemicals aren't worth it. Step 5. Water the entire bed deeply. You want that cardboard wet all the way through so it starts breaking down immediately. I usually give it a good 20 to 30 minutes with a sprinkler or soaker hose. Now, here's where it gets interesting. If you're planting transplants, just push the mulch aside, dig a small hole in the compost layer, and plant directly into it. For seeds, pull back the mulch, scatter or row plant into the compost, and cover lightly. That's it. No tilling, no turning, no back-breaking labor. A trick I learned after my second season: every time you harvest a crop, don't pull the roots out. Cut the plant at the base and leave the roots in the soil. Those roots decompose and leave behind channels that improve drainage and aeration naturally. Free soil structure, just by being a little lazy. For the next season, you don't start over. You just add another inch or two of compost on top. That's your annual maintenance. 1 wheelbarrow of compost per 4x8 bed. Maybe 20 minutes of work. Compare that to dragging out a tiller, making multiple passes, raking, amending. You're saving hours. And your soil is getting better instead of resetting. If you notice weeds popping through, and you will get a few, just lay a handful of mulch over them. Without tilling to bring up new seeds, your weed pressure drops dramatically after the first year. By year 2, I was spending maybe 10 minutes a week weeding my entire garden. 10 minutes. I used to spend that on a single row. One thing to watch for: slugs. In wet climates, that mulch layer can harbor slugs, especially in the first season. If that's an issue, pull the mulch back a couple inches from the base of your plants and sprinkle some crushed eggshell or diatomaceous earth around the stems. Problem solved. And here's a pro tip for anyone with heavy clay soil: don't try to fix the clay. Just build on top of it. The cardboard and compost method works even better on clay, because as the worms move between the compost and clay layers, they create permanent channels that break up compaction naturally over time. So by year 2 or 3, that clay layer starts developing real structure without you ever touching it. After my first full season of no-till, I weighed everything that came out of those beds, and I had to double-check my numbers because I didn't believe them. My no-till tomato bed produced just over 42 pounds. The tilled bed of the same size, same variety, same watering schedule, gave me 14 pounds. That's a 300% difference from doing less work. My pepper plants were taller, healthier, and produced almost twice as many fruits. My lettuce grew faster and bolted later because the mulch kept root temperatures more consistent. Even my root crops, carrots and beets, were bigger and smoother because there were no compaction layers blocking them. And the cost savings. This is what really adds up. I stopped buying bagged fertilizer entirely. That's $60 to $70 a year I'm keeping. I cut my compost purchases in half because I'm not tilling it in and losing it. I'm layering it on top where it actually stays. My water bill dropped noticeably because the mulch layer holds moisture so much better than bare-tilled soil. I was watering every other day before. Now it's twice a week, sometimes less. But beyond the numbers, the soil itself is different now. When I push a pitchfork into my no-till beds, it slides in like butter. I see earthworms every single time I move mulch aside. The soil smells alive. It holds together in crumbles, not clods. And every year, it gets better. Not worse. Better. That's the opposite of what tilling gives you. Here's what I want you to do. Pick one bed, just one, and convert it to no-till this season. You don't have to change your whole garden overnight. Just run the experiment the way I did. One bed, no-till. One bed, your usual method. And then, watch what happens. Let the results speak for themselves. Tell me in the comments which bed you're going to convert first. Or if you've already tried no-till, share what you've seen. Because I know some of you have been doing this for years, and your experience can help someone just getting started. If you want to go deeper on building incredible compost at home, I've got a video on that. And if you're dealing with heavy clay soil specifically, I put together a guide on the best strategies for that too. Both of those will take your no-till garden to another level. Here's what I believe. The best gardens aren't built with machines. They're built with patience, observation, and a willingness to work with nature instead of against it. You don't need a tiller. You don't need expensive inputs. You need cardboard, compost, and a little bit of trust that the soil knows what it's doing. Because it's been doing it for millions of years, long before any of us showed up with a rototiller. Start this weekend. Your garden and your back will thank you.